Hi, welcome back to the Wholeness Wisdom podcast. My name is Erin, and I am a wholeness coach. So I help people with the spiritual technology of wholeness work, which is bridging the spiritual Eastern inquiry of who am I with a Western structured psyche in order to reveal and unveil the whole self, which is the infinite self. And this work is very close to my heart because I went through a very, very dark period of depression, anxiety, and illness in my life. And wholeness work, bridging this question of who am I with the way my psyche had been structured, was really essential to bringing me this life of peace and freedom. So I'd like to help people find out how to explore this themselves. And a key insight that happened for me along the way was learning about the work of Donald Hoffman, who is a cognitive neuroscientist who is also a professor at the University of California. And he has written many, many books and publications, papers, demonstrating his research that our visual field is showing us symbols and representations of a reality that we can't access through our perceptions of sight, sound, taste, touch. Because of this, the implications of his research are that each of us are seeing reality through a veil of ignorance, which is the idea that the world is broken up into all these separate things. That is the ultimate falsehood in our experience, that there are things when in reality, there are not things. The world is not made of matter. This is a paradigm, which is a global belief or a majority belief that is actually not substantiated by the quantum physics, the studies of Donald Hoffman, and also this very rigorous philosophy that offers other options, other possibilities to the paradigm of materialism, which has only really been popular for a few hundred years. So, with these implications of this research, we can begin to wonder, if I'm not a thing in a world of things, what am I really? Or what is actually all of this? And with a little bit of silence, taking time to look at experience itself, we can begin to kind of untangle the web of what we think to be happening. And this web is really made of ideas. So the idea of my past, the idea of my history, how I got where I am now, what makes me me, and what my environment is made of. These are all ideas, they're all stories. Doesn't mean that they actually have a basis in reality. And in fact, they don't. That is made of illusion, the illusion of perception. When we really begin to ask, what is this? And then we look at our own experience. This is the wonderful news, is that we don't need to look at other people's experience at all. The key to finding this out is right here. It's closer than close. And the work of Douglas Harding has been extremely useful to millions of people to have an idea of how to do this. So Douglas Harding is the founder of the Headless Way experiments and has written many, many books about how to look for and find our true nature. And the good news is that all it takes is yourself to find out. There's no equipment necessary. And I'd like to introduce a way of seeing for you now, today, which can be just a really nice way to bring this into your daily experience. The way I began this was to be curious about the experience that I call I. So when somebody asks me, who are you talking about right now when you're describing what happened in your dream last night? I'll say, I'm talking about me. And if they were to ask me, well, who's talking about you? I'm talking about me. It's obvious. And this is true for any of us when somebody asks, who are you talking about right now? When we're describing our experience, we'll say, me. It's natural. And so the way it began for me was to really question that, like, what is that? What does that mean? And thankfully, from these wise people who've come before me, there's some simple steps we can actually find out. The first step is to close the eyes, simply because the visual field is appearing to be all these broken up things. So when we remove that field visually, it can be easier to attend to the I. So in closing the eyes, asking, who is experiencing this? And this can be whatever you're experiencing, my voice, a feeling in your chest, feeling in your belly, any sensation in the body, a sound coming from another room, a thought about what's next. Any of these can be experienced as mental objects. So a sound, a thought, a feeling. And asking, no matter what that object is, who is experiencing this now? And the answer often comes up automatically without trying. Me, I am. So when receiving that answer, I am, notice or check, where is that I? So that I has a response. It says, I am. I am. Where is that I? That's the first step. And when I ask this now, what comes up for me is this kind of area all around my throat and torso. It's like, I. It says this. That's the response. So I can notice, interestingly, it's not coming from my head. It's not coming from my mouth. It's not coming from in my back. It really seems to be right here, which is interesting. And this is the basis for Connie Ray's Wholeness Work, which I'm a guide in. And this work is exploring I through the direct experience. And it doesn't matter if it's objectively true or not, because my direct experience is true for me because it's what comes up. And your direct experience is actually the key to finding out what is all this about? Who am I really? So when that I comes up in front here, the first thing that I learned to do that was so helpful is to kind of notice where it's not, like I just explained. It's not, it's here. And then be curious. So if that's what that is, if that's where that is for me, somehow, interestingly, what is everything else? But where is this appearing in? So if this thing came up, it's coming up in my awareness of it. And that's a really interesting point, because my awareness of it, I can say, I am aware of this. And we found out what that I is, or where it is. Where's the awareness? And it's important to discern the difference between awareness of something, a perception, and the I that's kind of woven up in that. So if that I is here, what about awareness? What is that? And this is the second key point that I would really love to share with you and offer to you, is to be curious. What is the dimension of awareness for you? What is the sensation of awareness for you? How do you know you are aware? Not one question. I would love for this question to ring out through you throughout the day, like a bell being struck at the center. Where is awareness for me? How do I know awareness? And something from Douglas Harding that was essential for my deepening of this understanding that actually I am awareness itself. I am this whole field that is experiencing life through what appears to be a form, but is actually this undivided field. Douglas Harding's pointing experiment was really helpful for me, which is to point out at objects in the room and to point at them and notice, I am aware of that. I am aware of that. And noticing the finger, the distance, and the object. After pointing to a few objects in the room and confirming for yourself, really check for yourself if it is true that there is seeing, finger, object. Is that true? And then doing it again, moving closer to where the seeing is happening from until eventually the finger is pointing to where the seeing is happening from. And having that finger pointing right back at where the seeing is happening from and asking earnestly, can I find an object here? Where the seeing is happening from, is this the same as what pointed to out there? And the answer for me is that I don't find anything that I'm pointing to. When I'm pointing to where the seeing is happening from, to the center of my experience, there's just this openness. There's just this space. And it's not even space. I can't describe it as space because I don't experience it as space. I experience it as this kind of on quality as opposed to nothing. It's this onness. And that onness doesn't have any color and it doesn't have any shape. It doesn't have any characteristic at all that I can name. But when I point to what is seeing, to the experiencing at center of where I really do feel myself to be, seeing and experiencing and knowing of anything, I don't doubt that that is real. At the same time, I don't find any qualities and I don't doubt that that is real. So this video is meant to be a short, simple invitation for you to ask these questions. Where is the I when I honestly say, I feel blank, I hear this, I don't like that? Where's that I? And then noticing awareness as opposed to that. In comparison to that, how is it different? Noticing the difference. And then asking this question, how do I know awareness? When I ask, am I aware of this? Where does the answer come from? Where is the answer collected from that I can say, yes, I am aware? So that can help us point to awareness itself, the experience of awareness, which is very real for yourself. And then finally, doing the pointing experiment and pointing back to what is confirming all of this, the one who is hearing this, what is viewing this, what is apprehending the information. Does that have itself any color, any shape, any characteristics other than, for me, a kind of on, undoubted presence of being? So these are kind of introductory ideas. Maybe they don't feel so introductory to you. I'm trying to remember years ago when I started the investigation of who am I in this Western structured mind kind of way. These topics seemed both appealing and attractive and also mysterious. I wanted to know more. And it was also like, I could feel a taboo around it. Like, I was maybe doing something other people wouldn't understand. And I just want to let you know it's okay to be curious. It's okay to want to look into yourself. And it's not selfish. It's actually extremely generous to find out who you really are, because we can then live from authenticity and honesty and a really willingness to live our life instead of a hesitancy or avoidance or fear. We can really show up authentically and presently with others and ourselves and trust life. So it's really good to see you here. It's really good to hear you. It's good to feel you. It's good to be with you. So if any of this message resonates, I would really love for you to subscribe to this channel, because we can ask for that. And life presents. I would also really love for any conversation to continue. Have you examined the question, who am I, for yourself? Have you tried it in a traditional Eastern way? And what have your experiences been with that? Have you heard of the wholeness work? Have you tried that yourself? Maybe you're a complete skeptic and you don't agree with any of what I've been saying. I would also like to hear from you, because we do share this. So please share with me if you like. I would love to continue the conversation in the comments. Please reach out to me anytime, wholenesswisdom.com. You can contact me. I also have a course that's coming up, and with early enrollment ending in just a little over a week, you could save $200 right now. There's a promo code which is available. If you just send me the words promo on the website, I'll send you the code. You can get $200 off instantly. And you can get the course, which begins January 6th. It is an online learning class. We meet twice a month. And then there are also 9 extensive guidebooks with writing exercises and inquiries and meditations into these topics, including the psychological, the metaphysics behind it, the cognitive science behind it, and also the practical steps of how to find out, who are we really and how to live that way authentically. So really good to be here, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.